Well, good afternoon and welcome to a special Veterans Day luncheon. I'm Sam Thompson. I'm president of the Rotary Club of Edina, and we're coming to you, thank you. We're coming to you from the Edina Country Club live and of course on Zoom. So we have 61 people that have pre-registered with us for live and 46 on Zoom. And today is a joint meeting with the Edina Morningside Club as we acknowledge Veterans Day and honor our men and women who have served in the military. Veterans Day, which was yesterday, as we know, recognizes the many sacrifices made to protect our nation and freedom. Each year we hold a Veterans Day luncheon with our 8 Area 3 clubs. Yet due to COVID, it just wasn't possible this year to do that. So after much discussion, we decided to have our regular meeting with our sister club, the Edina Morningside, and recognize our veterans. Since our meetings have been hybrid, we invited the Area 3 to join us via Zoom. And we do have a few Area 3 dignitaries with us in the room. So what I'd like to do is call off our dignitaries that are here. When I call your name, if you can remain standing, that would be great. And if we could hold our applause until the end. So we have Tom Gump, our district governor, 5950, and he's also with Edina Morningside. We have Mariana Cov, our district governor-elect, and she's with Monticello. And I believe Lloyd Campbell is on Zoom. He's our district governor nominee for 5950, and he's with Glenwood. We have Margaret Johnson, president of Edina Morningside Club. And Mary Kurth, are you here? Mary Kurth had pre-signed up. I'm not sure if she's in the room. She's district grants subcommittee chair from Bloomington. Kim Ross, is Kim here? Okay, Kim Ross, yay. Kim is here, Area 3 assistant governor with the Eden Prairie Noon Club. Don Stiles, Don, are you in the room? District grant treasurer out of Bloomington. Roy Terwilliger, is Roy here? And he's our past state senator. Eden Prairie Noon. And our speaker today, Colonel James W. Wall, is with us with the Airlift Wing. And we also have on Zoom Colonel Angela Stewart Randall, who is the most senior active African American woman in the history of the Minnesota National Guard. So welcome. Well, great. Nice to have all of you here, and I'd like to now call up Bill McReavy to provide the invocation pledge in the 4-way test.
Thank you, Sam. Please bow your heads in prayer. Dear Lord, we come to you today united in prayer. We thank you for this day and thank you for watching over us as we progress through these challenging times. Comfort those that have lost a loved one, console those with challenges that seem insurmountable, and care for those that are homeless, hungry, and feel there is no hope. Bless our great country and its leaders and the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces. We thank them for their sacrifices. Bless our organization, our families and friends, and this food and those that prepared it. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Like Linus and Charlie Brown, who wait each year for the great pumpkin to bring toys to good little boys and girls across the year, across the world, at this time of year, Henrietta rises out of the turkey patch for Edina Rotary's Thanksgiving gathering. Hi, Henrietta. This has got to be your 16th time you've come to Edina Rotary. Henrietta's looking great. She's got a little sway going. She looks a little different though. Henrietta, we're so glad you're here. Henrietta, do you have any special concerns about this year's Thanksgiving?
Well, this year is going to be unusual, like everything else this year, but what is not going to be unusual is our hearts to be donating turkey baskets with lots of yummy things in it for needy families. Tomorrow is National Kindness Day, so it fits well with our Thanksgiving basket program.
It does, it does. And do you remember the Wampago Indians, who were the Indians that helped the Pilgrims back for the first Thanksgiving? Do you remember what they ate?
No, I don't have a memory.
You have a memory?
Step this way a little bit.
Okay,
You're right under
well,
the speaker.
they were vegetarians. They were, and do you know what vegetarian means, Jean? Excuse me, Henrietta?
A bad shot?
Yes, bad shot. That's what a vegetarian is. Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't have a couple famous Thanksgiving quotes. William Arthur Ward says, "Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it." And then our former president, John F. Kennedy, said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." And then let's not forget our famous Rotarian, Dave Hadsum, who said, "This year my mother says I don't have to sit at the card table." Well, here's Reverend Tom Cook, who is going to give some very specific instructions about sign up, because this year is truly different. Thank you, Henrietta.
Thank you, Henrietta, for wearing your mask so well, too. Excellent. Remember, things are so very different this year with COVID, and we've set up a system by which you sign up for a particular time on Wednesday the 25th to come in, you and your team of up to 6 people who can be together during COVID times. We're going to have 2 groups at once in the room preparing the boxes that you'll take out for delivery on that day. So check our website, talk with Becky for some help about how you can get signed up, but do make sure that you're here on time for your assigned slot, the one that you picked to be here, so we can do all this as safely as possible, and we'll get food out to people as we need to. Now, next week, don't forget, please make a tangible expression of thanks by bringing canned corn and peas and green beans and yams and even fruit cocktail, right? You can head out to Costco or your favorite grocery and bring a little flat of them if you like. We need plenty. So bring them in next week. We'll store them here and have everything ready for the 25th.
And who does the morning club people need to talk to sign up?
Turning that over to Michael.
I think they could reach out to the esteemed president, Margaret Johnson, or Mary Brendel. And Jane Erzman always helps as well, too. So thank you, everybody. It's going to be a great success again.
All right, Henrietta, back to the turkey patch.
Okay, very good. My glasses. I have a couple announcements I want to make. On November 17th, it's our leadership series. Both our clubs are part of this, and it's virtual, so it's on Zoom, and the speaker will be Jessica Parker, and her topic will be Achieve Your Goals, and the title will be One Bite at a Time. And Jessica's actually a leader in Toastmasters, and Rotary is trying to partner more with Toastmasters, and so are we. So we have more things to come with Toastmasters. And Rotary in the news. We had Vocational Happy Hour the first Wednesday. Both our clubs are part of this, the first Wednesday of the month. It was at Scott Hawkins Business Live, and it was also at Zoom. And the last meeting, here it is, was Nick Van Beek presented, and he's with the Noon Club, and he talked about his role as pastor of Calvary Church. And Kayla Beeler, who I believe is here, is speaking next meeting, and that'll be on December 2nd. And Kayla is a newer member, and she's with Village Shores Senior Community. And we also had the Edina Rotaract. Both our clubs sponsor a Rotaract club, a younger version of Rotary. And last Saturday, we had a Rake-a-thon, which was part of the city of Minnetonka. And we ended up collecting 45 bags of leaves for an elderly couple. The husband just had hip replacement, so it seemed to work out well that we could help them out. So I'd like to ask all of you, when you're done eating, to please put your masks back on for the safety of others. And I also want to thank Paul Peterson for temperature checks. And now I'd like to introduce the president of the Morningside Club, Margaret Johnson.
Thanks, Sam. What an honor to be here today. So honoring our veterans, and thank you so much, Colonel, for being here today. So we really appreciate you and all the others that have served our country and keeping us safe and free. We really appreciate it and need it. So, all right. Well, I was kind of like hunting around on Facebook, and I found, hang on, this little piece of interesting information. Colonel Sanders, good old Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders, was a Rotarian. And I did not know that. Something about him as well, though, and some of you may know, may not, doesn't really matter, but he's an honorary colonel. Though he did join the Army, but he had to leave because he joined too soon. He falsified his birth date. So he was honorably discharged. But it's an interesting story, so if you ever want to figure out, learn more about Colonel Sanders. But I just thought it was an interesting thing that he joined Rotary back in 1980, and he always wore his Rotary pin. So you can see it on his left lapel there. Anyways, and his quote is, "There's no reason to be the richest man in the cemetery. You can't do any business from there." Or selling chicken either. Anyways, so I just wanted to give you guys some highlights about our club. Despite the pandemic, we still hosted our now annual EMRC family picnic. We had about 50 people meet over at Roslyn Park. We shared a meal and we're socially distant with our families at different picnic tables. And then we had the fun of playing bingo. Mary Brindle and her husband Ralph are both fantastic at running this game, and everybody loves it. The kids love it. They just, we had prizes. And it just, it honestly, it felt so good to be together, to see each other. And that's what today I'm just taking such delight in looking around and seeing some of my great friends and those that I have not met yet. But so anyway, so that's what we did back in September, I think, or October. But another thing that we're trying to do as well, so that we can see each other in a very safe way, is come up with a service project that allows us to be outside, wearing masks, of course, as well, but be able to see each other, but still do what Rotarians do the best. We serve other people, and we want to serve our community. So one of our members in our club has a great relationship with a senior community here in Edina, and we found 3 seniors in the area that needed our help. So the one the raking project I was at a house not too far from here, and we were raked for Doreen. She's a 91-year-old recent widow, which was very sad. I spent some time talking to her. Her husband of 59 years passed away in August, and her only son lives in Atlanta. And when we got there, we were kind of looking around going, oh, wow, this is a big project. So 4 hours later and 26 bags of Costco leaves, you know what I'm talking about, the big ones. We were done with her house, but that was our group. We had 2 other groups at 2 other homes, and then we also had the interactors come join us as well. So reached out, and I believe, Tom, your son was one of them, and he helped rallying the youngsters from the high school, and they came out and helped as well. It was great, and to be honest, where you're doing projects or service for Rotary, and you have another one of those moments where it goes from your head down into your heart, sitting and talking to Doreen and seeing how happy she was and how gracious. She brought out cookies and stuff for us, but yeah, it was really meaningful to be there and to be able to help her. So that was something else we did. And then for November, we've got our food drive too, like everybody else. So we're trying to really help stock the food shelves at Veep. And I know you guys all know what Veep is, and we do a lot of things in common to help support them as well. So we will be having a food drive and places for donations to be dropped off, and they can be dropped off at Mamie, Afira's, or Kathy Hogan's homes. If you would like to, go ahead to our website and check it out, and those addresses are provided. And that is it. So mask back on. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Margaret. Well, at this time, it's a tradition that we play a medley of service anthems and to provide a tribute to our veterans. So if there's any veteran or active military in the room, which I know there are, when your anthem of your service is played, if you could please stand, that would be great. United States Coast Guard. United States Air Force. All right. United States Navy. Rock back. United States Marine Corps. Oh, big group. United States Army. Okay, one last time, if all the veterans and active military could stand one more time, one more round of applause. Do we have anybody World War II? I know we had somebody last year. Anybody World War II? Does not look like it. Okay. Well, we are ready for our program, and I would like to introduce Michael Stanzak, who will be introducing our speaker today. Michael and his wife, Janet, in their early years lived in Orlando, Florida, where he worked at Royal Oldsmobile. He returned to his family business in 1990 and became the dealer-operator at Key Cadillac in 2011. Michael and Janet have been married for 36 years, live in Chanhassen with their English Springer Spaniel Marley, and have 2 grown children, Adam and Natalie. He has been on the board of both the Minnesota Automobile Dealers Association and the Greater Metropolitan Auto Dealer Association. He has been involved with the Thanksgiving Basket, as we know, program at our club since 2002 when Dick Teagan encouraged him to participate. He is currently our president-elect and is looking forward to becoming president in 2021. Please welcome up Michael Stanzak.
Thank you, Sam. I am honored to introduce Colonel James Wall. Colonel James Wall is currently the Vice Commander, 934th Airlift Wing, located at the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. The wing is comprised of nearly 1,500 airmen across 3 groups and 12 squadrons and operates 8 C-130 aircraft. Those are the huge aircraft with the propellers. He knows more about them than the average bear. As the installation vice commander, he also leads the day-to-day operations and maintenance of the Air Reserve Station, including support to the nearly 5,000 assigned Air National Guard, Army National Guard, and Naval Operations Support Center. Prior to this assignment, Colonel Wall was a vice commander of the 386th Air Expeditionary Wing in Kuwait. Colonel Wall entered the Air Force in 1997 after graduating from Purdue University with a degree in aviation technology. Go Purdue! And earned his commission through the Reserve Officer Training Corps. Colonel Wall has commanded an Expeditionary Wing and Tactical Airlift Squadron in combat and has held a variety of staff assignments from the Joint Staff at the Pentagon as the Branch Chief for Information Operations Policy and Doctrine and Headquarters Air Force as the Chief of Program Objective Memorandum Development. Colonel Wall is a command pilot with over 2,900 hours in the T-37, T-44, and the C-130E. On a personal note, my neighbors had their home for sale for 2 years, and my wife and I prayed that a family would move in. And Jim and his beautiful wife, Sarah, and his outstanding sons, Tyler and Jacob, are the neighbors we always wanted. So please welcome a fellow Rotarian, a dear friend, and my neighbor, Colonel Jim Wall.
Well, first off, let me express how grateful I am to you, Michael, for inviting me here, and the amazing folks that we saw stand up, our fellow veterans. Needless to say, I can't imagine that this group is probably just like our Chanhassen Rotary, and again, can't thank you enough for all that you do for our communities and our veterans. The tribute that you had for leading into recognizing all the services is amazing. And I'm sure there are folks out on Zoom that also are here, that could say that they've served. So it's an honor to be present here with all of you. And I'd also kind of like to know maybe if there's any military families out there, any kids of somebody who served. If you can raise your hand, see you've got a whole bunch more. And how about anybody that's supported veterans, whether it's through buying them a cup of coffee at the random airport, saying thanks for your service, offering a discount at your local business. See all the hands going up? Helping folks through transition, or even maybe some of them are employers that you currently have working in your organizations as part of the Guard and Reserve. So this is why we're here, okay? I am here because of you. It's people like you that enable us to get through the service of our country, and I don't know where I'd be in my career today. Yesterday, today, any day I think is always a great day to thank a veteran, but for me personally today, I'm here to say thank you to you. I'm here to say thank you to all the support and for you to recognize that the center of gravity of our military is our people, okay? And I assure you that the military that we have today would not be what it is without your support. So again, Michael, thank you for inviting me here. Sam, Don, thank you for the coordination. It truly is an honor. I do have the honor and privilege to lead the largest military installation here in Minnesota, which is an amazing opportunity. The 934th Airlift Wing, just about 3 months ago, got back from about 2/3 of its people from overseas operations deployed fighting the war on terror. And most recently, about 1/3 of our entire medical staff just got back from fighting the war on COVID. So, needless to say, the things that we do impact not just operations overseas, but everywhere here locally as well. So what I'd like to do today is kind of give you a small glimpse of 24 years of service. This is my actual last Veterans Day in uniform, as I'll be retiring in June. But what I wanted to do was kind of give you a reflection of my career and the support that I've been afforded through people like you and organizations and communities like you that have allowed me and able to serve. So just this past weekend, we had our drill weekend, and this is where all our military members come in on base. And we had the opportunity leading into Veterans Day to kind of share your why. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, who wrote the book Start With Why. And the premise of his book is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Okay? I understand at the base level that you're a pilot, you're a cop, you're a mechanic, you're a nurse, whatever your job is. But what you don't get is, why did you raise your hand? Why did you say, yes, I'm going to go do that? Okay? And this is a really, really important thing. So needless to say, the amount of stories that came forward from a very, very diverse group of people ranged from, well, I didn't have any direction in my life, to I was looking for educational benefits, or I just wanted to serve. And what we found is that no matter what, every single person came because they wanted to be there. They were all there to be part of something bigger than themselves. This is an incredible thing, okay? We often miss this question when it comes to our veterans and why they serve. And when you think about the all-volunteer force, it is something that we as Americans cannot take for granted. So what do I do and why do I serve? Well, it all started when I was about 6 years old, and my mom and dad took me to the Chicago Air and Water Show, and as we're sitting there and the Thunderbirds came flying over our heads from behind, scared the heck out of everybody, I looked up and I said, that is exactly what I want to do. I want to fly, I want to be a pilot. So today I'm a C-130 pilot and a KC-135 pilot. I've got just over 3,000 hours flying these airplanes, and I will tell you that in my opinion, they're probably they are the workhorses of the Air Force. The C-130 provides global reach all across the world. It lands in the dirt. It can do airdrop, air land, all on night vision goggles, while the KC-135 provides our ability to maintain air superiority. It provides gas in the air for other fighters, and it's how we enable global reach and air superiority across the globe. This is exactly what the 934th Airlift Wing does here in Minnesota. But that's what I do, okay? It's not why I serve. This is why I serve, okay? This is my family, and I have the privilege of living in the greatest country in the world. I'm the oldest of 8 kids, and both my parents are probably the biggest patriots I know. I have a younger brother who served for 4 years in the Army, and I have another brother who's a cop on the south side of Chicago. So they're no stranger to sacrifice and being part of something bigger than themselves. I've been married for 21 years now. I've got 2 boys, like Michael said, 14 and 10, and I truly believe that the future of this nation is dependent on our youth, the strength of our country, and the ideals that we hold so dear. This is why I choose to serve. Of course, there's sacrifice with that, okay? The call to step away from my family has come 9 times now. The most recently was in 2018 when I was asked to go to Kuwait. And there I led the largest logistical hub in the Middle East, serving all of Afghanistan, Kuwait, Iraq, and Syria. And as I was in the airport, as this picture depicts, kissing my kids goodbye, I couldn't help but think how strong and resilient they were, and my wife. They unfortunately were going to have the hardest time through this whole thing, because we as veterans, this is our job. This is what we do. We're the ones that say, yep, I'm going to go, send me, and we go and do our jobs. The hardest part is back home, okay? It's the stuff that our families do to keep up the household, keep up the kids with school, practice, making the meals, doing all the things, keeping our life going while we can go out and do our jobs. For me and my family, this is our 19th move over 23 years, and yes, that is typical for an active duty force member. You can kind of see where we've been. Again, I've been married for 21 years. Out of that 23, that's been our life. My oldest is in 8th grade. He's moved 9 times, has been to 6 different schools. My youngest is in 5th grade, has moved 6 times and in 4 different schools. So how do we get through this, you might ask? It's through an amazing support network like this. Okay, when I look around the tables here in the communities, other veterans, you can attest that over time, the support for our military is incumbent and dependent upon this network. It's through my own family, my extended family, my brothers and sisters in arms, our local communities, our allies, our civilian employers, and even celebrity icons that come and visit us while we're overseas. The bottom line is we cannot do this without you. I want to close today with a little bit of a video, and it's about military families and the sacrifice that they make. And while it's focused on the Air Force, I want to say that it really is attributable to all services and all communities. Okay, so the networks and people that are part of my support structure, that's what matters.
We fell in love with airmen. And then we went and married the Air Force. We must have been out of our minds. You are not normal people. Never have been. But then again, neither are we. Maybe that's how we found each other. Being an Air Force family is a sacrifice we share together. We have been through wars with you. We have been through marriages with you. And we're still here. We will move our families at a moment's notice. We will cope with the loneliness. We will accept the uncertainty, and we will be strong for you. For us. We will be single parents while you're deployed. We'll be single parents when you're home, because sometimes when you're home, you're not really home, and we know that and we love you, but it is not easy. Do we love this country as much as you? We have volunteered to have our world shattered and our hearts broken. Because we believe in the things you believe in, we are willing to sacrifice something we cherish more than our own lives. Your life. We live in the extremes, the highest highs, the lowest lows. We laugh more, we yell more, we feel more. And if we sometimes don't show it, well, we're not normal people, remember? We're an Air Force family. You will kiss your spouse, you will hug your children, and you will never for 1 second let your parents forget that you love them every single second of every day. Because just like every Air Force family there's ever been, we love you. We are so proud of you, and we will do anything for you, for this country. All you have to do for us is come home. Aim high, Airmen.
So Veterans Day is absolutely a day to say thank you. But it's also a day for us to say thank you back. And again, for me personally in my career, I could not have done it without you and the support we've gotten over the years. So from me to you, thank you very much. Before I leave here, I know all my veteran friends probably know what one of these is. It's a round coin. Probably familiar with this in the military, but it's usually it's a symbol of excellence, I think. You know, and this one in particular is the coin I had in Kuwait, and it's from the commander that says it's presented to excellence for integrity and service. And when you get one of these coins, it's a big deal, I think, because it means something. You've done something. And for me, having the opportunity to give these coins out is an even bigger deal. And as I think through the support that we've gotten and coming into Chanhassen, and like Michael said, having the opportunity to be part of a community that is full of love and respect for not just our military community, but for each other. I've got kids, you know, that I take my kids to school, and you know, without parents near them, they say thank you for your service. That's a culture. That's a culture that's driven from, you know, people like you. So this is for me to say thank you. It's a challenge coin, and I'm going to give this to Michael and Janet Stanzak. So if you'd come up here real quick, Michael. This coin means that if I ever throw down my own coin, which I also have in my pocket, and he doesn't have his coin, he owes me a drink of my choice.
You got it.
So again, this is from our coin in Kuwait, which is significant to me because it was a time of sacrifice for me and my family. And as we came into Chanhassen, you were the first ones to open us with welcome arms. And for me, to you and Janet and your family, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's questions, I'm happy to answer questions, but that's all I have. Thank you very much.
There was a article in today's paper, front page, about homelessness with vets. Do you have any comment on that?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a...
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question was homelessness and vets. And there's some phenomenal organizations here in Minnesota. One specifically is called McReavy. I'm blanking on the actual acronym of it, but their sole purpose is dedicated to ending homelessness in Minnesota. And that's a really big deal. So as we think through those things, some of the opportunities for volunteering and support, you know, through whether it's a Rotary or other organizations, there are organizations out there that are primarily dedicated to ending that homelessness. So for us within the reserves, we sit on part of the Federal Executive Board as part of the council and help discuss some of those things. But it's something that we need to solve, and I'm glad that the current state of Minnesota is actually doing something that's very proactive to do that.
Over here.
Yes, sir.
How many years did you chalk up in the service? Number one. And now, in June, what are you going to do when you retire?
So the question was, how many years have I have in the service, which is 24 years. I'll be done with 24 years in June of next year. And when I transition, I'm still looking. So I'm currently trying to figure out my next phase of life. And the bottom line is I do know I want to continue to serve. So in whatever capacity that is that'll allow me to do that, that's where I'm heading. Yeah.
I'm going to relay a question to you from one of our listeners on Zoom.
Okay.
So this person asks, I sometimes hear that younger generations suffer from a relative lack of patriotism and character. When you talk to and see younger airmen and airwomen on active duty, what do you see?
So I told you kind of the book about Start With Why and the opportunity for folks to come up. And I kicked it off, which, you know, for me to kick it off is one thing, is the colonel of the base. But when you get the youngest of our airmen stand up and say, this is why I want to do this is what I stand for, I think it's a unique piece of our fabric within our society. Less than 1% of, the U.S. communities serves in the military. And it is an all-volunteer force. And again, it is not something to take for granted. I think as leaders, we all have a sphere of influence, and for the folks that are within that sphere, it's really important to kind of help foster some of those core values of integrity and service, similar to what a Rotary does, in our youth, so that they too have that passion and drive to serve. So I don't think all is lost or anything like that. I do think there's certainly a gap, between certain generations and now our youngest generations, but that doesn't mean we're not the same. It's just a different way of how we communicate, and I think those are easily overcome. So I'm passionate about youth leadership development and personal growth, and youth is definitely one of those strengths one of those things I'm trying to foster. So hopefully that answers your question. Yes, sir.
Suicide amongst newly discharged has been a big problem. What are some of the best organizations around here that are supporting that effort or reaching out to that community? And that we have our new Veterans Rotary Club as one arm, but I know I sense that's probably still a problem.
Yes, the question was related to suicides in the military, and it is absolutely a huge problem right now. But we're not so far off from what society is today. The stats are pretty staggering that approximately 1 to 3 airmen commit suicide almost every day, and with COVID, things are just getting more difficult. So as we think through some of these pandemics and the amount of things that we're asking our service folks to do in a resource-constrained environment, in times of war, you name it, there's got to be a way to help support these folks. And there are a lot of organizations, like you mentioned, sir, that do that, and we're very proud of that. But it's really one of those things that you have to be really aware of. And when we talk about thanking our veterans, it's great to say thank you, but it's even better to help them understand how they connect back into the community. When they leave the service and they struggle from different mental health or PTSD or any of those types of things, which we just had Mental Health Awareness Day just recently. All of those factors that go into somebody wanting to do that to themselves is very difficult, and we as a community need to step up and make sure that we're providing them that health. We can't call mental health a stigma that puts a mark on somebody to where they feel like they can't get help. We want to make sure that they're able to come and actually use those resources, because that's what we're here for. And we've asked them to do a lot of things. So, thank you. Yes, sir.
Congratulations on 21 years of marriage. As you travel as much as you do, as you move as much as you do, the separation that you have with your family, what are the keys to success with that beautiful family of yours? Just curious.
That's a great question. Thank you for my 21 years of marriage, not service. Yeah, watch it. No, absolutely, yeah. 21 years of marriage, and the question was, how do we maintain the resiliency really between of my family through all the moves and the support that we've had. My priorities in life are faith, family, and fitness. Faith is very personal to me, and we can talk that, but family is right there. So again, the oldest of 8, and the strength that we have within our direct family is critical to that. I've got brothers and sisters that are all over the world, mostly in the Chicago area, but all over the states. And the support that I get, I've never been stationed anywhere other than here now, because this is where my wife's from, where we've been near family. So having the communities, you know, neighbors and organizations like this to where you can have that extended family, that's how we've done it. We tried to build the resiliency in our boys to, you know, embrace new opportunity and look to the future to say, hey, this is something neat and something different. You know, and as new kids come into the school on the other end and they see that, it gives them an opportunity to reach out and say, hey, how can I help you? That's our hope and that's our goal. And that's how we're trying to raise our boys. But again, the opportunities and, you know, the situations we've been in to where I've been gone, the last one was definitely the hardest because it was a full year. And, you know, thank God for technology because, you know, I'm sure, you know, obviously back when, you know, some of our other veterans here, very, very different situation and very difficult, I can't imagine. You know, where you're writing letters and you're doing all those things to where I can pick up a phone and FaceTime my son, you know, but even though I can see him and I can watch a soccer game or I'm talking to him, it's still very difficult because they know I'm gone and I'm not there and I can't be everything for my wife. So our faith has certainly gotten us through it, and the tie back to our family has really been, you know, focusing on that resiliency of how we maintain a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical balance across all those opportunities, all those challenges. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Do you see any improvement in the function of the Veterans Administration?
Do I see any improvement in the functions of the Veteran Administration? I certainly hope that we continue to take care of our veterans. I can't speak specifically to the administrative parts and pieces of that, but like I mentioned before, the organizations such as McReavy and some of those other organizations that, you know, lobby Congress are very important, and we're a piece of that, just, you know, on our base to where we lobby Congress to support the VA and all the other organizations or benefits for the reservists and all veterans. So I do hope that we continue to seek improvement and, you know, things get better with that, but I can't totally comment on the actual administration piece of it. Yes, sir.
What altitude are you at 3:30 in the morning when your C-130 takes off from MSP and comes over Edina?
That's a very easy question.
And could you raise
Could you raise it? Yeah. Are they C-130s or are they airliners?
Those are prop airline, so I'm assuming that.
Okay. Yeah, this is obviously a very, very busy metropolitan area with Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, and the arrivals and departures that are established by the FAA, they are all very standardized to get people in and out of here, you know, with the traffic. So whether it's a C-130, a military airplane, or a commercial airliner, everybody's following the same procedures to get in and out of the local area. So I agree. I've certainly lived in locations where airplanes and helicopters and everything are flying right over my head, and you're like, wow, I didn't know this was going to be on the approach path of you know, whatever runway. But I don't know the altitude that they're at, but it is part of the normal procedure in an area like this. Yes, sir.
Sorry, well, I made my point.
Yes, sir.
I recognize the recipient of the coin, and I think you need to explain a little more to the recipient that it's kind of like a hole-in-one. Once he gets it, he has to buy it.
There you go.
There you go.
One more.
Your base planning to be involved in COVID vaccine security and distribution?
The question was, is our base going to be involved in the COVID vaccine administration? Is that?
Distribution.
Oh, distribution. So we have certainly been looked at different opportunities across the base for, when COVID first stood up, just even with field hospitals, setting places up on base or using our lodging facility, there are talks about, how the distribution of the vaccine, potential vaccine, is going to be done. And we're currently working with our public health and administration for guidance on that as we approach that. But right now, there's nothing solid, but there are certainly talks surrounding that, as they were when COVID first struck. So, thank you. Thank you all again. It was very much appreciated being here.
Colonel Wall, thank you so much for your time today and the tremendous leadership that you provided within this community and throughout the world. It's been absolutely wonderful. Rotary is a global network of over 1.2 million problem solvers who unite to take action to create lasting change to better our world. In honor of your presentation today, we're going to make a donation to Every Meal, which is formerly known as the Sheridan Story, and an organization focusing on providing weekend and other food gap programs to over 10,000 children in the Twin Cities neighborhood. Thank you so much for your presentation and being here today.
Well, thank you. Thank
you. Great. Okay, so looking ahead, next week will be our Prospective Members Day, and our speaker for the Noon Club, which meets here on Thursdays, every Thursday like we are today, same time, 12:15, Edina Country Club, is Kat Perkins, and she was the finalist on The Voice a few years back, and her title of her speech will be Fearless. So please bring a guest. Your guests are complimentary. And the Morning Club, they meet same location on Tuesdays at 7:30, and their speakers next week will be Darla Loss and Ellie Mark, and they're with the Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge. Their topic is Know the Truth, and it's about substance use and trends. So I want to thank everybody for attending today, live and on Zoom. Our vets, our active military, Colonel Wall, thanks so much for being here. And I would like to leave you with a quote. My heroes are those who risk their lives every day to protect our world and make it a better place. Police, firefighters, and members of our armed forces. Sidney Sheldon. With that, meeting adjourned.